The story begins at the Van Wert Toy Company in Natchez, Mississippi, 1961. Kobe Dellum applies lipstick in her car, preparing for a job interview within. Inside, plastic is molded and sculpted into dolls and packaged under the watchful eye of the company's owner himself, Mr. Samuel Van Wert. During the interview, Van Wert tells the history of dolls, including the one found in King Tut's tomb. Kobe Dellum listens as he explains how God sought perfection while creating man from dust. He believes a plastic doll is incapable of sinning since it doesn't have a soul. He goes on to suggest if humans were plastic and soulless like plastic dolls, the Lord would love them even more. He reviews her resume and notes that she was a member of the Natchez High School Debating Society and admits that he's never interviewed a candidate more qualified. Kobe states that her academic achievements are nothing compared to her tenacity and promises that if she is hired as his secretary, she will dedicate herself to clerical excellence. After reviewing Kobe's resume, Van Wert says that she's just not right for the position, leaving Kobe surprised. When she protests, Van Wert's bodyguard, Eustace, grabs her from behind and muffles her screams. Afterward, a miniature doll replica of Kobe lies on a sofa inside a dollhouse. Waking up in a daze, Kobe looks around as Van Wert introduces her to his very own custom-designed dollhouse. When she asks what's the purpose of her being there, he says she will call it home for the next week. After expressing how impressed he was with her resume, he informs her that she is now enrolled in a pageant as she's too special to spend her days as a secretary. She admits having no interest in his pageant. Laughing, he assures her it is not optional. Running for the door, Kobe finds Eustace with one hooked hand, blocking her way. He holds up his hook but says nothing, and Van Wert walks over and explains that Eustace is missing his tongue. She tries to flee through the windows and doors, only to discover that they are secure. Van Wert tells her that there's only one way out, and says that she'll soon find out what he wants from her. As he prepares to leave, she demands to not be left alone, but he assures her that she won't be. Van Wert and Eustace walk out, closing and locking the door behind them. The three mannequins look at Kobe and remove their masks. French maid Aurelia immediately begins to show hostility toward Kobe. When Bride Faye tries to defend Kobe, Aurelia says she only cares about her being exempt from the first 3 tests. Kobe pleads with them to explain what is happening. Aurelia says their abductor, a crazy doll-obsessed toy maker, forces them to perform tests as part of a pageant to find the perfect doll to mother his son, Otis Van Wert. In the dollhouse bedroom, Harlina tells Kobe she should rest before the next test starts. Kobe assures her that she is only interested in getting out of there. She claims Aurelia was a dancer and Faye a kindergarten teacher. Bonnie adds that she was kidnapped from her home. When Kobe refuses to eat, Harleen tells her about Otis's mother who supposedly drowned in the swamp. They imagine Van Wert walking in on his wife Ellen and her lover having sex. He gives a signal for Eustace to take care of them. Eustace renders them powerless with a shock before tossing them into a well while Van Wert watches. A loud bell brings Kobe and Harleen to their senses. Harleen escorts Kobe to a room filled with mannequins wearing costumes. After choosing to be a clown, Kobe hurriedly chooses a spot before Otis, carrying his dolls, walks through the door. He asks her name. She identifies herself as Kobe the Clown. When Mr. Van Wert asks how he feels about Kobe, he sarcastically says it's the happiest day of his life. Van Wert goes to work, leaving Otis alone with the dolls. Following a brief discussion about clowns, Otis threatens to order Eustace to dispose of Kobe. She convinces him to reconsider by using her special power to move his fire truck across the floor. After a thorough inspection of the fire truck, he demands she does it again. When she refuses to comply, he explains how the dollhouse was a gift from his father because he is the only heir to his fortune. He starts to beckon for Eustace when the fire truck rolls across the floor. Aurelia asks Kobe how she made the fire truck move. She claims to have seen her uncle do it. Aurelia accuses her of lying to win the pageant. Kobe asks the other dolls if they have any idea what Otis's mother would be like. She points out that it would also mean being Van Wert's wife. Aurelia says winning would give her enough time to come up with an escape plan when the bell rings. Harleen warns it is a test. Van Wert announces the next test, which would require the dolls to make a place setting. He uncovers a cutlery set before disclosing the menu: crawfish cardinal and terrapin soup. He tells the dolls that they have 60 seconds to complete the task. Just before the timer expires, Kobe accidentally knocks over a glass. Van Wert holds his cattle prod in his hand while inspecting each of the dolls' table settings. Aurelia passes the test while Harleen receives 2 points. Kobe receives 4 points. After expressing his disappointment towards Faye's failed attempt to make a proper table setting, he signals Eustace. Eustace shocks her with a stock cattle prod before throwing her whimpering body over his shoulder. The dolls rush over to the window just in time to see Eustace toss Faye into the well. Aurelia shows Faye no sympathy. Kobe magically moves Otis's fire truck across the floor. When he says it isn't magic, she admits it was a gift from birth. Otis asks if she has utilized her gift to do anything else. She admits being too afraid her parents would find out about her gift. He questions what her family would do if they found out. She assumes they would think a demon possessed her. She implies they both understand what being different is like. He admits wanting her to be his new mom. She promises to be the best mommy if he agrees to tell his father to free the dolls. They pinky promise. Otis gradually walks down a hallway as Van Wert pleads for more time to increase the sale of his hand-sewn dolls. When the phone call ends, Otis says he wants to ask him something. Van Wert jumps right into telling him that his mother's replacement must be perfect. He later asks what he wanted to ask him. Otis says nothing before walking away. The dolls rush to get situated before Van Wert walks through the door. He announces the details of the next test, in which the dolls will create an ironing spray and fold a shirt. Before the text begins, he provides a brief history of Monsieur Seydoux, owner of Dauphine Street Laundry. The timer is set at 3 minutes. The dolls work frantically until the timer expires. Van Wert starts by inspecting Harleen's shirt. She receives 3 points for utilizing too much lavender and too little Courvoisier. Kobe's shirt is described as too stiff and scorched. He forces her to place her hand on the ironing board. She reluctantly does as he asks. While he presses the hot iron to the top of her hand, she doesn't make a peep. After Van Wert describes Bonnie's shirt as smelling like a whorehouse, he signals for her to be taken care of. Eustace shocks her. Van Wert warns the next test is their last before leaving. A frightened Harleen asks what they are going to do. Aurelia tells Kobe her sweet-talking Otis was pointless. Sometime later, Aurelia eavesdrops on Kobe and Harleen's conversation. Harleen warns her of a fate much worse than an iron burn. Kobe concocts a plan while Aurelia removes a spindle with a metal spike from a wooden rod. She carries the wood spindle to an upstairs room. She stabs the mannequin. Harleen and Kobe rush into the room to see what is going on. Aurelia assures Kobe that she will be alive when the pageant comes to an end. Kobe suggests neither of them needs to die because they can walk out the front door. Aurelia warns that Eustace will hunt them down, but Kobe says they can figure out a way to get a head start. Hiding behind a curtain, the dolls watch Van Wert talk to the mannequins wearing their costumes. Kobe utilizes her power to open the doorknob. Once they are outside, Kobe has a change of heart. She decides to rescue Otis before fleeing the Van Wert dollhouse. Harleen apologizes for being too afraid to help her. She and Aurelia flee, while Kobe enters the house in search of Otis. Van Wert asks the mannequin wearing Kobe's clown costume to answer a biblical question. When there is no response, he removes the mannequin's mask and discovers they're missing. Meanwhile, Aurelia abandons Harleen as they run through the swamp. When Kobe finds Otis, he asks why she is there. She warns of his father being a sick man before asking him to run away with her. Unfortunately, he says sorry and shocks her with his cattle prod, sending her body to the floor. After falling to the ground, Harleen looks up to see Aurelia holding a rock. Aurelia says that she is too loud when Eustace shoots her. A frantic Harleen turns as another shot rings out. Van Wert congratulates Kobe, who is strapped to a table for winning the pageant. He demonstrates how Otis's vintage doll has a porcelain head with sound conduction capability. He admits letting her escape plan pan out was chosen as the doll's final test. A frantic Kobe stares as he describes how profoundly moved he was that she risked her life to save Otis. He promises she won't experience any discomfort as her body is encased in plastic. Her telekinetic power fails to cause a power outage, only flickering lights. As Kobe the doll services tea, Otis wishes she would talk more. Van Wert reminds him that her adjustment has been quite difficult and to give her time. He explains how she needs a name that is more refined than Kobe Ray when his teacup goes flying through the air. He looks up to see two witches from Miss Robichaud's academy standing in front of him. When he signals Eustace, Anna Lee Layton freezes him in his tracks. She assures Kobe that no harm will come to her as the plastic covering her face begins to crack. Kobe eventually collapses on the floor. A young witch states that they would have arrived sooner, but her spells were too weak. A confused Kobe asks if she said spells. Anna informs her that she is a Miss Robichaud's witch like them. Otis pleads with them to not leave him behind. Kobe warns he cannot return to the home. As Anna, Otis, and Kobe walk out the door, the young witch casts a spell, causing Van Wert and Eustace to engulf in flames. Upon arriving at Miss Robichaud's academy, Kobe suggests Otis choose a different name for his own safety. He decides to utilize his middle name, Spaulding. Myrtle Snow approaches and introduces herself, and he does too with his middle name. In the final scene, they walk hand in hand into Miss Robichaud's academy. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.